Afternoon and welcome to today's Meet DLS webinar. I just want to let everyone know that this presentation will be recorded and shared with everyone later. We'll also be sharing the PowerPoint presentation and any links that you find that we're sharing. And we will kick off with Sean Cronin, the Senior Deputy Commissioner of Divisional Local Services. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jen. So before we get into the presentation, I just want to say good afternoon and welcome you to our newest webinar. This is the second year we've done it, called Meet DLS, who we are and how we can help. I'm really happy that you're able to join us. As I just mentioned, this is the second time we've done this, and we developed it in response to the large amount of turnover in city and town halls. With that, we thought it makes sense to provide an opportunity to introduce ourselves to you, explain the roles and responsibilities of each bureau, and showcase some of the trainings and tools that we have available on our website. One last thing before I go into the slides, and this is really a quick commercial for communication. That is critical in any productive and effective work environment. The cities and towns are no different. At DLS, we strive to work collaboratively with our partners in local government. In the municipal government, where I had the pleasure of serving for some time, we often find that challenges and issues that might otherwise be avoided often result from irregular and infrequent meetings between and amongst local officials. As you'll hear toward the end of the presentation today, one of the best practices is having a team approach to financial management. So we highly recommend establishing fair lines of professional communication in order to identify and address potential financial issues before they become more problematic. Again, more on that later. So quickly go into the slides, and then I'm going to turn it over to Deb Wagner to talk about the Bureau of Accounts. So the mission of DLS is to promote sound municipal financial management practices and support local officials by providing guidance, training, and oversight. Some of the primary things we're responsible for include the accuracy and quality of local accounting and treasury management, ensuring the fairness and equity of local property assessment and taxation, distribution of $6-7 billion of local aid and other payments to municipalities and school districts, maintaining a very comprehensive data bank on local finances, and you'll see some of our visualizations in a little bit. Interpreting state laws that govern local finances and providing technical assistance and training. And you'll see at the bottom there's a link to our YouTube page that provides an overview of DLS. Next slide. So how we're organizing, and each of the bureau chiefs are here today to review their organizations with you, but you can see that we have 5 of them: Director of Account, Bureau of Accounts, Bureau of Local Assessment, Financial Management Resource Bureau, Municipal Finance Law Bureau, and Data Analytics and Resources Bureau. Again, each of the bureau chiefs are here today to talk a bit about their organization. Next slide. So for me, it's really a balancing act. We need to have a good balance between regulatory functions and technical assistance and guidance, because our ultimate goal is to assist municipalities with financial management. And at the bottom of the slide, you'll see our slogan, supporting a Commonwealth of communities, and that's what we try to do. And that's why this balancing act between strict regulatory compliance and technical assistance and guidance is so important to me and to the whole team at DLS. So with that, I believe the first bureau is Bureau of Accounts, and Deb Wagner will introduce herself and tell you about the bureau. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Hi, I'm Deb Wagner. I'm the Director of Accounts, and the Bureau of Accounts has existed in some form for more than 100 years. And as Sean said, we, like other bureaus, have a regulatory role, which is enforcing Mass General laws regarding municipal finance. The way our bureau is structured is, in addition to myself, we have Deputy Director of Accounts, Tony Rashes, who you'll hear from a little bit later. We have 2 public finance staff who oversee the State House Notes program. We have 3 supervisors and 9 field reps. Each of our 9 field reps and their 3 supervisors work very closely with the municipalities and districts assigned to them, and they provide both regulatory oversight as Sean mentioned, as well as sound accounting advice and guidance. We work with all municipal offices and officials, from town administrators, accountants, finance directors, assessors, collectors, treasurers, select boards, and finance committee members. We encourage local officials to contact us whenever they have a question or concern, and we're happy to assist. As I said, a large part of our role is to provide guidance and assistance, and we have a lot of new finance officials out there, and so that's a large part of what we do. At the bottom of this slide are links to field reps assignments and their contact information. Next slide. One of the main duties of the Bureau of Accounts is to review and approve the tax rate recap. And the tax rate recap is a summary of all of the budgetary decisions and appropriations made since the last tax rate was set. The recap is a 4-page summary of the revenues and appropriations made by a municipality. And the appropriations that show on page 4 of the tax recap are further supported by detail contained on other forms. And we review this document after the Bureau of Local Assessment has certified the values and the community has held its classification hearing. We review the tax recap to make sure that the amount of revenue from taxation that is funding the spending plan is within the limits of Proposition 2.5, and we make sure that other revenue estimates are achievable. And revenue from the tax levy is often the largest funding source for budgets in cities and towns. And in fiscal year 24, statewide, the tax levy made up 62% of municipal funding sources toward the 2024 budget, or approximately $5.23 billion. Accurate and timely setting of the municipal tax rate is critical to the fiscal well-being of a community. And in this slide is a link to an overview of the tax rate setting process and a webinar that was presented by the Bureau of Accounts supervisors regarding completing of the non-valuation related forms of the tax rate recap. Next slide. We also review the balance sheets for cities and towns, special purpose districts, and regional school districts in order to certify free cash or excess and deficiency in the case of the regional school districts. And free cash is the surplus in the general fund at the end of the fiscal year. It's generated by positive budget variances versus what was estimated on the tax rate recap. And we certify free cash conservatively and only based on revenues collected as of June 30th, with a couple of very specific exceptions. And free cash is important because it can be voted for any legal purpose. And we like to see it used for only one-time expenses like funding a capital plan or increasing a stabilization fund balance. To date in fiscal year 24, we have certified free cash in the amount of approximately $1.94 billion, which is an increase of $41.7 million or 2.2% over last year. Also in this slide are introductory video on free cash and a webinar presented by the supervisors on completing the forms required for the certification of free cash. Next slide. We review and approve the Schedule A, and we review this report for consistency versus prior year, as well as accuracy, agreeing the resulting fund balances after the Schedule A is submitted to each community's balance sheet. The Schedule A is a statement of the actual revenues and expenses in a community for a particular fiscal year, and information from this report is used by various federal and state agencies. So as a result, if a community doesn't submit the Schedule A timely, DLS can withhold state aid payment for the community. The report is due by November 30th, but we would only withhold the state aid for February if the municipality doesn't submit the report in time. And the Schedule A is also the source of data used to prepare some of the information that can be found on the data and visualization pages of our website. Next slide. Also at the Bureau of Accounts, we review the audited financial statements and management letters sent directly to us by law from the firms that complete the audit of the municipality. The audited financials show assets, liabilities, and fund balances, revenues and expenses, and other explanatory information in the notes section of the financials. The management letter lists material weaknesses in internal controls and other suggestions for improvement in procedures, and also recommendations for improvements. We review those reports to gather more information on the financial and operational well-being of the community. And also on this slide is a link to a webinar that I did with the State Inspector General's office regarding municipal audits, who is required to have them, and best practices around procuring audits. Next slide, Janie. And finally, Bureau of Accounts oversees the State House Notes and Qualified Bond Program. And the State House Notes Program is a no-cost, more than 110-year-old program that provides a certification procedure for short-term, long-term serial and refunding notes. The State Qualified Bond Program allows cities and towns and regional school districts to issue general obligation bonds, and the state pays the debt service by withholding the funds from the entity's local aid payment. The interest rate offered to the city, town, special purpose district, or regional school district is lower because they are borrowing on the strength of the state's credit rating. And to issue state qualified bonds, a municipality must apply to and come before the Municipal Finance Oversight Board. This board is chaired by the state auditor, and voting members include the Director of Accounts and a representative of the State Attorney General and State Treasurer's offices. In closing, I just want to say, please don't hesitate to reach out to either me or Tony or your Bureau of Accounts field rep anytime you require assistance or have any questions, and we'll be happy to help. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chris Wilcock, Bureau Chief of Local Assessment at DLS. The Bureau of Local Assessment is responsible for regulation, oversight, assessing training, and technical assistance in the areas of real and personal property valuation. We provide guidance for classification of property, fair cash valuations. We qualify assessing personnel. We help with tax mapping, capturing new growth, and personal property valuations. It's important to remember that all property, real and personal, situated within the Commonwealth is, whether it's personal or real, is taxable unless expressed exempt. This sets the framework of what's taxable, and this can be found in Chapter 59, Section 2 of Mass General Laws. In Massachusetts, there's 5 classifications of property. Class 1 is residential, which would include single-family houses, condos, apartments. Class 2, which is open space. Class 3, which is commercial. It could be anything from office buildings to malls or shopping centers. Class 4, which is industrial, which could be manufacturing facilities or warehouses. And Class 5, which is personal property. Personal property is tangible assets that are taxed locally annually. Next slide, please. In order to help out municipalities, DLS is split into 3 different regions. In those regions at BLA, we have 12 advisors and supervisors that are assigned to all 351 communities. This is a map of the state showing the roughly 30 communities that each advisor has on an annual basis, and also certification, which happens every 5 years. Next slide, please. Assessments are annual, and they're placed as of January 1st. So if you look at the bottom of this slide, what this is it's a rolling calendar as far as what type of year your assessment is in. So we're starting out with a cert year, which is a deep dive, which we'll get into in a second. And then there's followed by 4 years of interim valuation. So an interim is not as intense. A cert year is more like an audit, but every year a community is responsible for full and fair cash value as of January 1st for all the property in its jurisdiction. Next slide, please. The 2 types of years are an interim year and a certification year. Certification years come every 5 years, and we'll start with the interim year. So at a minimum, every year you should analyze market conditions in your jurisdiction. Assessors should ensure assessment uniformity and review assessment level for all properties. In a certification year, all of those steps are required, plus there's certification steps, which include data quality and reviewing cost and depreciation tables that exist in the computer system, modeling system that the assessors use. Some of these reviews will look into income and expense data. They'll review personal property tables, which is a cost approach to value. And they'll also look at land schedules and mapping and many more items. Next slide, please. Some of the other BLA programs that we help with is equalized valuations. Every other year, the EQV process is done with BLA using market data that came into us through the gateway system. Equalized valuations are to ensure that 100% value is placed on all jurisdictions for that one given year. Depending on the assessment level, some things might be slightly under or slightly over as far as percentages. This ensures that everything's at 100%. And this number is used to generate some reimbursements from state programs. The Bureau of Local Assessment also provides farmland valuations. Farmland valuations are based per acre, and they are produced by the Farmland Valuation Commission, and they're annually set for all properties in Massachusetts. The Bureau of Local Assessment also helps administer the state-owned land program. Any property entering or any property leaving the program is tracked every year, and those numbers are provided back to the communities to verify annually. The Bureau of Local Assessment also is involved with centrally valued utilities. Currently, the valued utilities are telephone valuations, oil and gas, natural gas pipelines. These valuations are done by BLA, and BLA communicates those numbers annually back to municipalities in order to get local taxation. Next slide, please. Finally, the 101 is a good foundation not only for assessors, but all municipal, anyone in municipal finance departments. This is a very good foundation for learning how taxation works, how municipal finance works, and every assessor that completes this, we do track this, and board members are required within 1 year of their appointment to take this in order to classify a property. So this is available through the gateway system, and we encourage everyone, even if you're not an assessor, to possibly take this. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ken Woodland. I'm Chief of the Municipal Finance Law Bureau. Next slide, please. Thank you. Our bureau is made up of 6 attorneys and 1 paralegal. As a way of background on me, locally, I served as a city councilor in my hometown for about a decade. Additionally, on my team are 2 sitting city councilors, former local solicitors, and members of their respective zoning boards, library boards, among other local roles. Like the bureaus we heard from today, most of the staff on the legal team are former local officials like yourselves. And I like to mention this to emphasize that we view our role at DLS as being partners with municipalities. And I think our past experiences on the local level drive us to have the understanding and motivation necessary to be good partners. Now, our bureau provides legal and policy advice to DLS managers and staff and other Department of Revenue divisions on the municipal tax and finance laws within our regulatory purview. We draft and review legislation, draft advisories, opinions, guidelines, and other public written statements that interpret municipal tax and finance laws and explain DLS policy and practice to local officials. We participate in training programs to local officials and perform certain statutory duties of the Commissioner of Revenue regarding municipal tax administration. All of our publications are available on the DLS website and all cover a wide range of topics relevant to municipal finance laws. And if you ever want to email in and ask if we have a publication on a certain topic or have more general questions, we're happy to point you in the right direction or send you a link. However, there are 2 big takeaways for my portion of the presentation today. First is our bureau operates what we call the Attorney of the Day service. So any local official throughout the Commonwealth can email our team at any time and inquire about municipal finance law issues. And within a few days, we're going to respond and help out in whatever way we can. And the email for that service is on the slide. And the second thing to emphasize is the newly implemented, what we're calling the Ask the Chief service. So as a complement to our Attorney of the Day, every Wednesday, local officials can utilize a Zoom link between 10 a.m. and noon to discuss municipal tax and finance law issues directly with the Bureau's legal counsel, primarily with me. So local officials only need to click the button on the DLS website and will be placed into a waiting room and addressed in the order of arrival. So if there's any questions on anything being presented today, you're more than welcome to either email our team or visit me virtually face-to-face any Wednesday morning. Now, as the slide notes, we also review legislation, participate in training programs for local officials. For example, we work with and do trainings for the Collector Treasurer Association, the Accountant Auditors Association, the Assessors Association, the Mass Municipal Lawyers Association, and we also hold a yearly conference called What's New in Municipal Law that covers major court decisions and legislation affecting municipalities, in addition to afternoon workshops on particular issues. Next slide, please. DLS, our legal team, also has several statutory obligations, and I've just listed a few here. Many folks in the room may be familiar with the 858 application process or land of low value. Just want to thank you for your time and attention today. And again, I encourage all folks on the call to reach out to our team if you have any questions at any time. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zach Blake. I am the Chief of the Financial Management Resource Bureau here at the Division of Local Services. I'm going to talk a little bit about how DLS operates as or functions as sort of a free consulting services to cities and towns. So the Financial Management Resource Bureau, or FMRB as we like to call it, provides financial management guidance and assistance to communities on their overall financial management operations, departmental procedures, policies, and financial condition. And we're made up of a 6-member team. Like Ken mentioned and the other bureaus mentioned, we have extensive municipal financial experience, both in town hall. Many of us have served in various roles as finance directors, accountants, treasurer, collectors, but also many of us also spend our free time working on various boards and committees like the finance committees, capital outlay committees, community preservation committees, and planning boards, etc. Next slide. So mission of FMRB is pretty straightforward. We promote strategic and long-term thinking through our capital planning guidance, forecasting template, financial policies, and budget document framework. We encourage performance and accountability by helping communities measure financial performance, as well as define roles and responsibilities, procedures, and financial controls. We seek to develop and circulate various tools and resources, manuals. Those include our tax and debt impact calculators, residential exemption calculators, and we have templates on receivable control, cash book, indirect costs, etc. And probably most importantly, we're here to try and strive to connect community leaders, both around encouraging innovation and collaborative efforts around municipal financial management. Next slide. Our findings and recommendations are based on on-site visits, interviews, and information that we received from local officials. We also examine documents including your annual budget, your balance sheets, your cash reconciliation reports and other reconciliations, your statement of indebtedness, charters, bylaws, all the annual reporting that you do to DLS. We look at independent audits. We look at credit rating profiles, all to give you an in-depth assessment of your financial management operations in town hall. And in doing that, we're really focused on sort of 4 key areas. One is the government structure in the context of the duties and responsibilities of your financial officers. We're looking at your forecasting, capital planning, and budget processes. We're looking at the degree of coordination and communication that exists between and among the various boards, officials, and staff involved in managing the financial management operations. And then we're looking at the general efficiency of your financial operations as measured by the community's success, really in maximizing those resources and minimizing costs. Next slide. In addition to the financial management reviews that we offer, we delve into, really anything that involves the financial management of the community. So there's sort of 5 aspects of that. There's multi-year forecasting, where we help you assess the long-term financial implications of current proposed policies and programs. And that's really designed to bring together all the policy and economic variables together to establish a coordinated understanding of sort of the direction the community is going. We also help build capital investment programs. Here we're looking at identifying what an inventory is, how to prioritize those assets, and then developing a funding strategy to implement. We also help communities with drafting financial policies, looking at how to outline the rules that govern the community's financial activities in order to bring consistency, set limits, define roles and responsibilities. And we break those financial policies down into 2 categories. There's the financial planning policies, which is really about, sort of debt, reserves, capital planning. And then we have sort of your financial operational policies. That's your purchasing, disbursements, reconciliations. In addition to those, we also help communities develop comprehensive budget documents. So first and foremost, your budget document is really a tool that identifies the community's goals, objectives, and guiding policies. It's also obviously a financial plan that presents the community's current financial condition, stating various assumptions and projecting where things are headed based on those assumptions. It's also an operations guide where you're describing what your municipal services are and your operations and measuring their efficiencies and effectiveness. And then last but not least, it's a communication device. And so you should be articulating your community's challenges and priorities, goals and objectives in a budget document. And so that's what we help develop. And then addition to that, we look at financial trend indicators. So this is modeled after, if you're familiar with ICMA's trend system, but we look at a community's fiscal health through a series of financial and demographic trends. So those are all sort of areas that we provide some of our consulting services. Next slide. Additionally, we do a lot of hands-on training. And so if you're interested, we provide training on roles and responsibilities of municipal finance officers. So, what is the role and responsibility of the accountant, treasurer, collector, et cetera, for example. We also offer training on various financial management processes and procedures, best practices around reconciliation, managing the cash book, debt schedules, which should your tax title receivable process look like, chart of accounts, et cetera. And then, we're really open to sort of any other suggestions around municipal 101 topics. So, if you're looking for, what should a budget process look like? Or, can you help communicate a little bit more about how Prop 2.5 works? Reach out and we're happy to customize a training for your local needs. And just to give you a little bit of assessment of the work that we've done across the state, next slide. So we've covered just about every corner of the state. I like to joke that we've been all the way from Mount Washington to Nantucket, about 2/3 of the communities in the last 10 years, so 227. And we bring all of that knowledge and experience to bear when we're meeting individually with your community and sharing best practices. And if you're interested, I would encourage you to visit our website, mass.gov/DLS. Within there, you can find the Financial Management Resource Bureau, and you'll see all of our previously published reports, as well as an opportunity to request our services. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gene Voskov, Bureau Chief of Data Analytics and Resource Next slide, please. I'm here to tell you about our bureau. Data Analytics and Resources Bureau consists of myself and 6 staff who do a variety of things. We manage the DLS Gateway application. We curate the content of the public DLS website. We provide data analytics development, where we develop and publish analytics such as standard reports, visualizations, and data sets. And finally, we distribute local aid. Next slide, please. The DLS Gateway application is how DLS transacts business with our municipal partners, you. If you're part of a process where you send information to DLS for review, you'll need a gateway account. The first step is to make sure your city or town clerk has entered you in Gateway Local Officials Directory. That verifies your role as a local official working for a specific city or town, which is a requirement for a gateway account. Your clerk can create your gateway account, and so can your IT director if you have one. If you don't, DLS Gateway Support can help get you started. You can email us at dlsgateway@dor.state.ma.us for assistance. If you don't submit data to DLS, you don't need an account. But if you're in a role where just viewing your community submissions would be helpful, as long as you're listed in the local officials directory, you can have an account. Even if you don't, a wealth of data is available to you on the DLS website or on the Gateway login page in the public reports section. Next slide, please. DLS website provides data, training, guidance, and lots of other great information. A really good place to start is our Municipal Finance Training and Resource Center. The website also provides staff contact information, publications like our City and Town newsletter, data and analytics, an events calendar, and a lot more. Visit us at mass.gov/DLS when you have a chance to take a look at everything we have to offer. Next slide, please. Our bureau's name does start with data analytics, so I'll highlight a few of the data products you can find on our website. Click on the icon labeled Data Analytics and Visualizations on our homepage to access an enormous collection of data related to municipal government. Next slide, please. Here are a few of our most popular visualizations. First, the Municipal Finance Self-Assessment. This visualization uses a combination of visual elements and raw data to tell a story. In this case, a story about the overall financial status of any specific community. And our average single-family tax bill visualization lets you interact with the property tax data and see the results on the map. Our visualizations don't just inform, they encourage you to ask questions and then provide visual elements that might lead you to answers, or possibly to even more questions. We also have hundreds of more traditional, downloadable reports covering every aspect of municipal finance. Next slide, please. Our local aid staff publishes estimates at each step of the budget process of what your community can expect to receive in state aid each year. We call these estimates cherry sheets because for many years we printed them on cherry pink colored paper. The name stuck, and although we now publish the data electronically on our website, it's still called cherry sheet estimates. You'll find the fiscal year 2025 local aid receipt and assessment amounts for every community on the DLS website pictured here. When you click on the municipal link, you will be taken to a report with the aggregate and details of all the 351 municipalities. There you will see the estimates of what each community can expect to receive in state aid each year. And as others said, feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help. Thank you, and now we'll pass on to Jennifer McAllister, Director of Special Initiatives.
Thanks, Jean. I work here at the Division of Local Services, and I help manage the Community Compact Cabinet Grant Program. And I also work with DLS staff to develop municipal finance trainings for local officials. Today, I will be highlighting the division's Municipal Finance Training and Resource Center. Next. The division's Municipal Finance Training and Resource Center provides a wide array of interactive and on-demand materials intended to assist new local officials, seasoned municipal finance professionals, and residents alike. We also have a robust YouTube library of training videos. This is an excellent resource for any local official looking for information on a variety of municipal finance topics. Next slide. You can access the Training and Resource Center from the DLS homepage. Here you'll find more than 250 resources, including training videos and recorded webinars from our YouTube library, how-to guides, best practice documents, guidance from our Municipal Finance Law Bureau, and a lot of useful tools and calculators that help you analyze your community's data. Next slide, please. We've structured the Training and Resource Center to let you find resources in 3 different ways. Resources by topic, if that expands, there's 10 different topics. Also resources by position, accountant, auditor, assessor, clerk, collector, and treasurer, and resources by process, which has 12 different processes. You can also find the tools and calculators here, view our video library, and publications, including city and town. So this is a great one-stop shopping for all training resources. Next slide. As a new official, it can be overwhelming to figure out where to start when trying to understand local government. DLS provides new officials with their own resource page with introductory information explaining key concepts in municipal government. DLS has also developed a playlist of 14 videos to help get you started. So if you're on our Training and Resource Center, you can find a whole page for resources for new officials, or you can go to our YouTube page and you'll find a playlist. So there's 2 different spots to find meaningful content as a new official. Next slide, please. We also have Foundations in Municipal Finance for the New Official. This is a series of virtual training modules that guide participants through a fiscal year in municipal finance. This training provides a comprehensive overview of municipal finance in Massachusetts, and it covers key concepts important to new local officials or those who seek a better understanding of the subject. It outlines the budget process in both practical and policy terms. It highlights best practices for sound sound financial management, and explains how each municipal official's role contributes to the overall financial health of a community. We recommend starting with the introduction and continuing through the summer, fall, winter, and spring modules. This is a great resource. This is also found on the front page of our website and also in the resources for new officials. So it's very accessible. Next slide, please. We also have the DLS YouTube channel. So if you're looking for videos to watch and to learn more about municipal finance, you can browse through our video library or search our playlist, and you'll find videos on topics like Proposition 2.5, setting the tax rate, assessment administration, municipal debt, and capital planning. Additionally, we post all of the webinars to YouTube, so if you can't attend a live webinar like this one, you can watch the recording whenever it's convenient to you. Next slide, please. We also have tools and templates. This was also highlighted in a previous slide. This is a collection of tools and templates designed to help municipal finance officials with planning, tracking, and other common tasks. You'll find a number of these resources are in Excel format and customizable to your community, so you can make them work for you. I highly recommend checking them out. Next slide. As mentioned earlier, there's a number of DLS publications. You learn about them through DLS alerts in our city and town e-publication. So you want to make sure that you're subscribing to our mailing list so you'll receive important legal and financial guidance, our city and town newsletter, and news and information relevant to municipal officials. Next, you'll hear from our from BOA's Deputy Director, Tony Rashis, about the 10 worst and best practices. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tony Rashis, Deputy Director of Accounts in the Bureau of Accounts, and I'm here to convey to you what I believe to be the 10 best and the 10 worst practices in municipal finance today. Next slide. Best practices are professional procedures that have been accepted as correct, have consistently shown superior results than by other means, and may generally be used as a standard for others to follow. Next slide. Worst practices are bad to do, often show results that land the government in a mess and should be avoided. Next slide. I'm going to begin with the 10 worst practices in municipal finance. I hope that none of these apply to your community, but if they do, I've included my recommendations on how to correct them. 1, a self-insured healthcare trust fund that no one knows how to manage. My recommendation, learn it or lose it. Several communities have a self-insured healthcare trust fund and run it properly, but several others have landed in dire financial straits by having such a fund that they couldn't manage correctly. Find a professional insurance administrator, go to the GIC, go to Premium Based, find out what other communities in the same situation are doing. Follow the link on the screen, but if no community official knows how to manage this fund, please get rid of it. Number 2, an accounting software package that no one knows how to use. My recommendation, figure it out or get another one. A good accounting software package can provide important budget and other internal controls. Does your software contract offer training and support? Consult another community that runs the same software. Don't find yourself in a position where the system automatically provides entries that you and your staff duplicate manually. Maybe your software system can do or does more than you know. Figure it out or get another one. Next slide. 3, a computer system requiring a simple character password. My recommendation, forget about it. We've all heard reports of attempted theft from municipal coffers by pretty slick hackers. Malware, spam, maybe a deceptive telephone call or two, and voila, they're in. Don't lose confidential data or the ability to access critical systems or be stricken with ransomware or fall victim to other technological trickery. How about an IT audit by competent IT professionals? Longer and more complicated passwords are needed and should be changed regularly. By the way, still keep your passwords under your keyboard? Just saying. 4, the belief that reconciliation of cash and receivables is just a waste of time. My recommendation, think again. Any healthy system of internal controls in a municipal environment includes accounting reconciliations between and sometimes among department heads. But either physical or electronic notifications won't do any good if the information isn't verified and reconciled. The government's internal controls should be such that the risk of fraud is at a minimum, if not eliminated. Unreconciled items hinder a balancing of the books at year end. Reconciliations aren't a waste of time. They're very important. Next slide. Number 5, a town accountant that never read Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 58. My recommendation, read it. This is what it says in part. Whenever any appropriation shall have been expended, or whenever in the judgment of the town accountant it appears that the liabilities incurred against any appropriation may be in excess of the unexpended balance thereof, he shall immediately notify the selectmen and the board, committee, head of department, or officer authorized to make expenditures therefrom, and no claim against such appropriation shall be allowed, nor any further liability incurred unless the town makes provision for its payment. Section 58 works in conjunction with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 31, another important municipal finance law, that says no department is allowed to overspend its budget except in cases of major disaster which pose an immediate threat to the health and safety of persons or property, and then only under controlled conditions. While Section 31 articulates a prohibition against deficit spending, Section 58 imposes a responsibility upon the town accountant to enforce the prohibition. The city officer with similar responsibilities to the town accountant must also comply with this law. Number 6, relying on one-time revenues to fund annual operating costs. My recommendation, don't do it. Unbudgeted revenues or windfalls are good, but waiting for them to occur or even using them after they occur to finance annual operating costs is totally risky. Match ongoing expenses with ongoing revenues. Use one-time revenues for one-time costs. Don't rely on free cash, reserves, or another round of federal funds when budgeting for the next year. Finance annual operating costs from a dependable revenue stream, like the tax levy, rather than an inconsistent or potential one. Review the division's best practice on the subject. Next slide, please. Number 7, quick, hide the audit. My recommendation, use it, don't lose it. An audit is an examination of a community's systems, procedures, programs, and financial data conducted to assure the public that an independent authority is reviewing the community's financial health and practices. It identifies areas of improvement and reviews internal control procedures to minimize the risk of errors or fraud. If your community hasn't had an audit in a while, review the division's audit webinar. So don't hide the audit, use it. 8, accounting software conversion in mid-June. My recommendation, can't anyone think of a better time? I've seen many different sorts of data and software conversions in my time, and there's almost always a glitch, sometimes a major one. You need time to determine if everything is running as expected, and perfection at first shouldn't be assumed. The end of the fiscal year when the books are closing may not be the best time to figure this all out. For that matter, any software conversion should be scheduled timely so that the conversion doesn't worsen matters. Next slide, please. 9, balancing the budget by stretching the estimated receipts and clipping the overlay. My recommendation, wait a minute. Balancing the budget's always a chore, but your local receipt estimates for the next fiscal year should be reasonably based on the amount received in the current fiscal year, and don't unreasonably stretch them and land in a deficit. The overlay balance should provide a sufficient amount for its purpose, and don't clip it too short. Both these matters can halt the tax rate approval. Review your community's budgeted and actual local receipts and guidelines on overlay and overlay surplus on the division's website. And finally, 10, foregoing the money because the paperwork seems too difficult to complete by the deadline. My recommendation, someone please fill out the paperwork. Too many times communities have foregone the money, the state aid, the reimbursement, the state or federal grant, the relief funds, or whatever, because someone couldn't complete the associated paperwork by the deadline. Over the years, I've heard very few explanations why it couldn't be done, especially funds already allocated to the community, but waiting for the paperwork to be completed. If it brings in the money, complete the paperwork, please. Next slide, please. Now listen, and now here's my list of the 10 best practices, and I'll tell you my support behind each of them. Number 1, ensuring that a financial team is in place and communicating effectively. A good financial team, including the manager, the mayor, accountant, auditor, collector, treasurer, assessor, clerk, IT staff, and others as need be, all working and communicating collectively and cooperatively is essential for the community's fiscal stability. Effective communication allows for joint solutions to be developed and implemented successfully. Team players operating together as a unit rather than as a collection of subunits is key to a community's success. 2, maximizing use of technology and managing systems effectively. Nearly all our daily functions rely on IT. Maintaining the public's trust in our digital world means safeguarding a tremendous amount of data, both public and confidential. Protecting government computers and network infrastructure from malware and ransomware should be a group effort. Being proactive, improving cybersecurity, and committing adequate financial resources to keep system operations up to date all help to ensure a healthy and secure system. Next slide, please. Number 3, staying educated in your profession. Be active in your profession's association, whether it be in management, accounting, collection, treasury, assessing, to name several. Watching for continued guidance from the Division of Local Services and advocating for more professional development funds in the budget all help to keep dedicated and responsible staff educated in understanding their tasks and willing to sharpen their professional skills. Number 4, identifying and reducing risk factors. The community is susceptible to risk factors in finance, workplace safety, data security, deferred maintenance, emergency preparedness, legal judgments, to name a few. It takes the knowledge, plans, and tools to respond to and recover from these factors, both written and approved by management, reviewed periodically, revised when needed, and understood by all to minimize or prevent the problems these factors cause. Next slide, please. Number 5, performing a fiscal wellness checkup. A fiscal wellness checkup provides the community with a good understanding of its fiscal health by trending multi-year data and using other standard financial metrics, all to improve sustainability of operations and to achieve a clean bill of health. It may uncover inefficiencies and help protect against the effects of an economic slowdown. Contact the Division of Local Services Financial Management Resources Bureau or a municipal consulting service about providing a checkup. Visit the Division's Massachusetts Municipal Finance Trend Dashboard and perform your own. Number 6, using realistic revenue and expenditure assumptions for operating and capital budget forecasts. Realistic budget forecasts provide financial control over revenues and expenditures and are essential for good short-term budget stability and long-term capital planning. They ensure that the budget process incorporates accuracy, transparency, accountability in data, cooperation among departments, and lessen the possibility of discovering surprises that derail financial planning that can spin progress quickly downward and out of control. Next slide, please. 7, developing and following a set of financial policies. Written financial policies on using and replenishing rainy day reserve funds, on saving for capital investment, and on managing debt levels are a best practice. Policies establish guidelines for funding and maintaining reserves such as free cash and stabilization funds, can help to sustain operations during difficult economic periods, hold money for specific future purposes, finance unforeseen or emergency needs, and impact a credit rating and its long-term cost to fund major projects. Follow the link for more best practices in this area. Next slide, please. 8, providing strong leadership. Serving as an example, hiring the best people, and offering salaries commensurate with their position and abilities, being conscientious, following the rules of law and procedure, encouraging new ideas and innovations, listening to feedback, expanding technology, providing accurate information timely, and acting professionally are all component parts of strong leadership. Next slide, please. Managing personnel. Personnel is usually the largest cost center in a municipal budget. Supporting and advocating their mission helps them deliver core services to the community. Understanding the rules of good office management. Developing human resource guidelines for such things as hiring, leave, promotion, and termination. Providing resources for cross-training to avoid single points of failure. And evaluating employee benefits, balancing ability to pay with the need to attract new staff will help promote the best quality of service. Next slide, please. And finally, 10, contacting the Division of Local Services for further guidance. Contacting the division subject matter experts is always available to local officials. Reading division publications, watching its webinars, visiting its training and resource center, all provide readers and viewers with the principles of effective finance management. The division's website includes a listing of Bureau of Accounts and Bureau of Local Assessment field reps, municipal finance best practice guidance, financial indicators to analyze a community's fiscal health, sample written policies on reserves, and a whole lot more. Next slide, please. So those are my lists. There are more best practices for sure. There are more worst practices, unfortunately. So find more good ones, get rid of the bad ones, and be a good public servant. Thanks for watching and listening.
Great, thank you, Tony. I always love that part of the presentation. So before we break out into the separate rooms, I just want to say a couple things. First of all, thanks to everybody who presented today. I hope all the attendees realize we have a fair amount of expertise here at DLS, so please take advantage of that. But I want to thank you for taking time to participate today. I know you're busy, you got full-time jobs, and I hope you found it helpful. Also want to express all of our appreciation for all that you do to sustain local government, which is the level of government closest to the people and arguably deliver the most important services on a day-to-day basis. So some of these things that I'm about to say might be repetitive, which isn't such a bad thing, but just a few things to remember. Sign up for our DLS alert distribution list. Our City and Town newsletter and alerts will keep you informed of any upcoming training opportunities, any uni finance law updates, local aid announcements, etc. To sign up, you can go to City and Town, all one word, at dor.state.ma.us, or go right to our main page and you'll see it. Something I wrote about last week's City and Town, our local officials directory. Please confirm that your contact information is correct in there. City and town clerks are responsible for maintaining that. So please make sure you check with your clerk, whether you're a town accountant, clerk, treasurer, mayor, whatever. We use that information to push out information to all of you on a timely basis. Make sure you bookmark our DLS training and resource center. There's so much great stuff available there. Know you're assigned BOA and BLA field reps. I know Jen just put in the chat where you can find that. Familiarize yourself with all of the resources that we have, such as the glossary, the municipal calendar, and our legal index. And then lastly, sign up for our YouTube channel. If you do, you'll get updates as to when we put out new materials. Whether it be about Prop 2.5, assessments, abatements, debt service, whatever, debt management, I should say, whatever the subject might be.